Hi, my name is Claire and I really like to knit. Today I've got another podcast episode for you to talk about some of my current works in progress, and I have a couple of finished objects for you. I'm a Chinese Australian who loves to knit. So I've been knitting most of my life, but really took it up after COVID. Recently I've sold my business and I'm currently having a bit of a break and then thinking about what to do next. Hence, I've been doing a lot of knitting, a little bit too much. It is supposed to be winter, spring here in Australia, but it's 28 degrees today and the short Australian summer is over. Now, I have two finished objects for you this week. One is the nostalgia tank, which I will explain more in a second. And another is this beautiful orange V-neck cami. Now, one of them I had to rip out almost completely and start right from the beginning. I'll let you guess which one I had to redo, because regular viewers, you know that I'm constantly redoing things because I'm a bit too rushed and careless with my mats and just rushing to knitting without thinking about it properly and ending up having to rip it out. So let me tell you about both of these. They are both beautiful Italian linen and cotton. I bought them from woollyyarn.com. They're both bulky weight. And I just love the color and how summery and fun it is. They both have sequins. I only got about 200 grams of each, thinking I'll make a little tank. And yeah, I think they do look really gorgeous. But let me go through them with you one by one. I have been heavily influenced by Instagram and YouTube. So I've been wanting to knit up summer projects for most of this winter. And last week, I wanted an instant gratification project. And I had these beautiful Italian linen yarns. So I thought I'll knit up the nostalgia tank. Now, viewers from last week would have remembered I tried to use some winter yarns to knit up the nostalgia tank, which did not work. It was much too wintry, and then I ran out of yarn anyway. But I still wanted to knit it. So I found a compromise, and I used my bulky Italian linen to create this top. I don't know if you can tell or not, I made a lot of modification that this one doesn't even look like the nostalgia tank anymore. What I've done is just I got the gauge for this linen, and then I did some maths and did a pattern repeat of the scalloped hem. So I think in nostalgia tank for my size it was about 20 of these little scallops. Here I've only got 9 because it's a much bulkier weight yarn. So I just did 9 repeats of the scallop. I didn't do the center fake button panel, as you can see. And I just, 9 repeats of the scallop. It's a lot bigger than what she has on her samples. Again, because it's a bulky weight linen and it behaves very differently to cotton and a few other things. And then what I did was just knitting around up to the armhole, divide for the armhole and did a V-neck. The reason I did this instead of the low square neck is because I had 220 grams of yarn and I didn't want to waste it. I like to use as much as possible and not waste any yarn. So I thought I have enough. I'm just going to make it into a tank rather than like a skinny strap. It'll give me more coverage. So I just did the front as a low V-neck, did a couple of decreases. I think I did 4 stitch decrease here gradually, and then here every second row up to the shoulder, and then just knit about 18 centimeters to my requirement. For the edges, instead of doing an I-cord bind off, which you have to pick up later and do, which is such a hassle, I just did a 2-stitch slip stitch. So the last 2 stitches here and the last 2 stitches here, they're slipped on every other row, which naturally creates an I-cord anyway, right? So you don't really have to do an I-cord. Oh, and the other change I made was down the hem here. I didn't do an I-cord cast on because it was so hard on my hands on this very, very hard yarn, and it uses up a lot of yarn too. So I just did 1 garter row, which looks just as good. Yeah, I'm pretty happy with it. After I finished the front piece, I still had heaps of yarn left, so I just did a more covered back piece rather than a V-neck back piece. Again, with the slip stitch, 2 stitches of slip stitch on the edges to give it like an I-cord finish. I did a tighter bind off here. I found this technique I'll probably show you next time I do it because I can't remember how I did it. I found this technique on social media and it just helps to tighten up this quite a bit, which looks really neat and doesn't roll much either. So yeah, next time I do it, I'll make sure I do a video tutorial. It was on a Chinese social media website and I don't know how to share it here. And then I just did a Kitchener stitch bind off. Now, this yarn is 89% linen, 7% cotton, 4% silk with sequins, and it's 130 meters per 100 grams. 200 grams, I only paid 16 euros. What a bargain. I really, really love woolly yarn. Now, after I washed it, while I was knitting with it, it was very hard and tough on my hands. After I washed it, it really softened up. Yeah, it's got this beautiful drape now, and I really, really like it. The only thing is the armhole dropped quite a bit as well, so it's now a little bit below my armhole, but I think it's okay. It's a nice, fun, summery top, and it's soft and drapey and lovely, and I think I'm going to love wearing it. Now, after I finished this one, I looked at my orange V-neck tank again, which I made a couple of weeks ago. So originally, I had I casted this on. I've talked about it in my last video, but I'll just quickly, I'll just come back up. But I'll just quickly talk about it again. So I did a cast on in the back using the English tailoring method with the sloped shoulders. Lots of picking because I didn't do my mats properly. Did increases up to the armhole. Then I picked up the two front straps. Did increases down here, increases down here, and then I joined them together to knit in around and then finish with a split hem. This yarn was 95% cotton, 5% silk with some sequins, 160 milligrams, 160 meters per 100 grams, and I paid 18 euro for 224 grams. Again, what a bargain because it's beautiful. When I picked it up to knit in the round, you can see in the insert here, it was completely twisted. It was just, and I've heard about this before. When you knit things in the round, it can become twisted and biased. But it's never happened to me before, and I think that's because usually wool and alpaca is very bouncy. This cotton, it was so twisted. I washed it, I yanked it, I pulled it, I tried to block it. It just would not straighten up. So after I finished my pink nostalgia tank, I'm like, no. And the funny thing is it didn't happen to this one. I knitted this bottom up, also in the round, but there is no twisting. Well, there's a tiny little bit, but you can't see it. So linen's okay, but cotton twists for some reason. And I just couldn't stand it. I couldn't wear it. So I decided I had to frog it and start again. And I did. It was a pain in the bum to unpick. The bind off was difficult, and then after that the twisted rib hem was a little bit tricky as well. The main thing is because the sequin keeps getting stuck. I have to be really careful to make sure the sequin passes through the loop, otherwise one of these threads can get pulled out. I've mentioned this previously. This kind of thread is about 12 strands of very, very thin gossamer cotton and is not twisted very much, so when you knit it, it's very easy to split. And when you unpick it, gotta be really careful that the strands don't split again. So I had to do it very slowly to make sure it doesn't split and there's no funny looking sequins sticking out. So I unpicked all the way up to the armhole. Yeah, unpicked them all the way up to the armhole, and I decided to knit front and back pieces separately back and forth because then it's not knitting around, hopefully it won't twist. This was a 16 stitch gauge, so I knit it up pretty quickly. It took me a couple of days. So I just went back and forth, back and forth. Design's pretty much the same. It's a little bit longer than before because I had like that much yarn left and I didn't want to waste it. So I knitted a little bit longer than before. Still split hem with the back being a little bit longer. And then I used a normal white merino thread to seam it up because there's no way I can seam it up with a sequin yarn. Just would not work. And look, there is still some twisting. Can you see it? It's still twisting to that side a little bit, but it's so much better. It is, yeah, it's still twisted. I don't know what it is. And the hem just will not sit straight. I don't know, there is something going on with this yarn that's really weird. But still, I love the color of this. I love the texture. I'm really happy with the design. It's just a really simple tank top. And I still think I'm going to wear it a lot, even though I'm going to be yanking it to the right all the time. But maybe it'll soften over time, right? I don't know. Hope so. So that's my 2 FOs this week. Now let's talk about some of my work in progress. The first work in progress is my Precious Knit Pullover by Mayumi Kawaii. It is from the Ketodama magazine that I always talk about. I have finished the body. I have finished one sleeve. So I only have one sleeve to go. So this will go there. It's a 3/4 sleeve. There. It's a 3/4 sleeve. I'm currently working on the second sleeve in Magic Round. I was using this needle before, but it just wasn't long enough for the magic loop. So I changed it to a longer cord and so much better. So yes, only that much of the sleeve left to go. Then I pick up the neckline and do 2 rows of garter and it's all done. I like it so much. The yarn is woollyyarns.com in 55% silk and 45% linen. It's really soft. The linen and silk combination is really great, and I think after I wash it, it'll be even softer. It's just going to be a really nice lacy pullover for transitional seasons, which is most of the year here. And the color is winter white, 510 meters per 100 grams, and I only pay 16 euros for 300 grams. Bargain. And I still have heaps left, I think. So I have this much left for the sleeve. That means I will weigh it. I haven't weighed it yet, but I'm thinking of using this, the leftover, to make my Elana camisole by Masha, Not a Day Without Knitting. And because that's a top that doesn't require a lot of yarn, so I didn't want to break into a full 100 gram skein if I didn't have to. I think this will be perfect. It's going to be a really beautiful rib stitch camisole. Now, the next WIP is my green cardigan, which I haven't shown you a lot of. This is a copy of a store-bought cardigan for my friend. I've done front piece, and I've just started on the back piece. And it's going really well. I am waiting for more yarn because this is taking up a lot more yarn than I envisioned, so I had to order more. But you have to wait for the full vlog when it's done for me to talk about it, because this yarn is incredible. My third WIP has not been touched since last week. This is the Lacy Aon in a grey cashmere by woollyyarn.com, and this is by Hitomi Shida. Absolutely gorgeous, but I haven't touched it because, as you can see, this lace requires full engagement, and with so many other WIPs on the needle at the moment, I don't have the bandwidth for this. This is going to be something that's going to need a lot of patience and concentration, and I'm currently very distracted with so many shiny new projects that I want to work on. So now that it's hot, it's likely that this will be next year. And so that's 3 active WIPs, but I've also been accepted into 2 test knits by 2 of my favorite designers. So I will show you more of those next week, but I'm so excited to cast them on. The first one is Nora Gorn, and her new design is called Checkers. Nora Gorn is a beautiful, fantastic, genius designer. I've made at least half a dozen of her designs, maybe more. And I was only one of, 8 people selected, so I'm so happy. So honored, Nora. I'm so honored to be selected for Nora Gorn's test knit group. I think it's because I listed out all the things that I have knit from her, and I told her how much I admired her. Maybe that's why. So I've only just cast on this much. Now she's The checker top is a DK weight, and I'm going to be using a Rowan soft alpaca DK. I've had this in my stash for a long time. I've got 400 grams of this, which is just under the requirement, but I'm very short, so I think I have to make the sleeves shorter anyway, and that should be enough. She's got us doing an alternate rib cast on, which I've never done before. It is so easy, and I think it's going to look great. I can already see that it's going to look good, this rib cast on, and it's so easy to do. It's just like a cable cast on, except you knit one and then you purl one. So easy. Why don't I do this now? Well, I will be doing this now for all of my rib cast ons because it's so easy to start. And so yes, I'm looking forward to knit this. It's going to be full cable, well, full cable in the middle, and the sides are just square. So it's an oversized squared top. And the second one is the second test knit I've been accepted into is my Jana Collar Checks Prosco jumper. She's been working on the design for a while, and I've been eagerly waiting for her to do the call out for test knitters. I think sizes 5 to 8 is still open, so if you want to test knit for that. I love all of Marjana's designs. I've made a video specifically to everything that I have knit of her designs, so go and check that out. The design, she used a Bichet Bouge heavy mohair, so I think it's about a DK weight, and I've got this in my stash for quite a while. So when she showed a sneak peek of her jumper quite a few weeks ago, maybe a month ago, I was like, this yarn will be perfect for that, so I'm going to hold this and wait for that. And I had already started doing swatches too. I haven't got the patterns yet, but I haven't received the pattern yet, but I've already started swatching, and yeah, this color is so good. It's called Peach Malba. It's got some sequin in it as well. 300 milliliters per 100 grams, so I think that's DK. It's 34% mohair, 34% alpaca, 17% merino, 15% polyamide. Guess where I got it from? woollyyarn.com. 90% of my projects at the moment. So yes, I'll be working exclusively on these two pink tops for a while, I think, or I'll finish my yellow lacy top too. I just forgot I have another WIP. I do have another WIP. This is the Moon Glow by Netty Knits. Yeah, this is the front. And I've been working on this week, but I think this one will be sitting on the sidelines for a while because I have so many other beautiful projects got to finish. I think I'll finish this one first because it's so close. Then I'll work on the test knits. This one will just have to wait because it's fully charted cables, so I need to focus. It's not really TV knitting. So I am using 2 strands of this linen. Okay, let me just show you my contraption. This calls for a DK weight cotton linen or something like that. So I'm using 2 strands of a fingering weight. So again, I'm using a woolly yarn thread, and I can't take it out. Okay, this is my contraption. So I've got 2 balls. I'm holding them double to knit this, and I saw this. Initially, I had this cone just standing up and just kept falling over when I'm yanking on the yarn. So I saw this on social media somewhere. So I used a thick knitting needle and just put it in a jar, put it into a basket. Now the cone's never falling off. It's perfect. Now, what is this yarn? It is 80% linen, 13 silk, 6% cotton. Again, from woollyyarn.com. It's a heavy fingering. So I got gauge, but it's quite big. And with 2 strands, it's probably a little bit thicker than DK. And being a linen, it's really hard and stiff. It's like papery even. But I did get gauge. However, the finished result is a little bit positive eased. I mean, in the design, she does say it's a positive ease, but we'll see. Because after washing my pink linen, it really softened and it really draped. So this might be okay after I wash it. Baby's awake. But yes, alas, this one will have to wait a little bit. I might use my contraption on another cone for a while. until I have time to get back to this one. So that is 4 active WIPs and 2 new cast-ons. Yeah, I'll be okay. I'm going to Perth on Monday for a couple of days to do a to go to an entrepreneurs organization moderator training thing. So I have to choose something that's easy to bring. I'm not sure which one's easy. None of them are easy. Everything's charted. I better make some progress on one of them so I can figure out which one I want to bring. Baby's been sick. He's got a respiratory virus. Stop looking at me. Little baby's been sick at home for the last 2 days. He's got a respiratory virus. My husband is making faces at me. He's got a respiratory virus, so he's been at home coughing and spluttering. It's now 10:40 and he just woke up, which is fine because he really needed that rest. He was coughing all night. Tomorrow, this weekend, there is an air show down the Gold Coast where they have all these cool planes, different types of planes doing acrobatics and formations and flying around. And he loves planes at the moment, so I really want to take him. Let's hope he gets better by tomorrow so we can go. I went last year, it was pretty cool. But otherwise, thank you for watching. I will give you more updates on my WIPs in a week or two. We'll see how we go. If you like this type of content, make sure you subscribe and make sure you stick around as well. I'm going to give you a little modeling of my 2 beautiful linen cotton tanks. I'll see you next time.